5 reasons you should retire ASAP in 2024. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it is blowing outside. Windy here in the high desert. So here are the 5 reasons you should retire ASAP in 2024. Number 1, in an election year, and I think it's the last 17, 18, 19 even election years, there have only been 4 recessions. Okay, now obviously the past doesn't predict the future, but if there was ever a time where you might be kind of confident that you'll be retiring into a decent to good market, it's this year. I mean, right now when I'm filming this, it's the very beginning of March. There's still plenty of time to retire in this election year. The one thing you don't want to run into when you retire, which I sure did, sequence of returns risk. Yikes. It just killed me. Now, you might think, for those of you who obviously haven't retired yet, what's the difference if you have a couple bad markets, say for the first couple of years when you retire, as opposed to 10 years, 15 years down the line? That's not how it works. If you retire into a bad market, and most of the time you can't predict this. When I retired in August of 2021, everything was going great. 4 months later, boo, everything started tanking. You cannot predict this a lot of times. You can't. So if you can be somewhat sure that you'll be retiring into a market that's not so bad because we're in an election year, I'd say it's time to do it, guys. Because if you have a bad market in the first couple of years once you retire, that really can affect you because your money has gone way down. There is not that much time to recover as opposed to if you're still working. Now, 10, 15 years into it, if you had a bad couple of years in retirement, not so bad because your balance had probably gone up or stayed the same since you retired. You don't have that long left to, have to use that money for. If you have a couple bad years, 15 years into retirement, doesn't affect you nearly as bad as the first couple years. That is called sequence of return risk, and I know it, believe me. Number 2, there's so many more options now for part-time work, side hustles, whatever it is you want to call it, than there ever have been. And for a lot of you on moderate income, and if anyone has seen me for the first time, this is a channel about moderate income retirement. My name is Duane. If you think you might enjoy that, we have a fast-growing community here. Think about subscribing and also like the video. And if you really like it, really like it, there's a link down below. You can buy me a coffee. So yeah, I mean, recently, as opposed to, let's say, 10 years ago, there's so many online opportunities for part-time work that a lot of people in moderate retirement should do to bring in some extra money. There are other things that you can do. I mean, all kinds of stuff. You can start a YouTube channel like I did. It kind of fell into it and it's working out great for me. You can write your own book. I have a good friend who actually travels the world. Literally, this guy travels the world. And what he does when he's home is he drives for Uber. Yeah, he doesn't need the money. He's traveling the world. I mean, one day he's in Guatemala, next day he's in Rancho Cucamonga, whatever you want to say. He's everywhere. He could be in the Philippines. We never know where he's going to be. But when he's home, he drives an Uber. Why? Because he likes meeting interesting people. He likes having that social connection that Uber can bring. He doesn't need the money. But he does it because it does something for him. It's giving him something to do in retirement that he enjoys, meeting different people. There's so many opportunities to do this now, nowadays, guys. Tons of opportunities that you can take advantage of. Think about doing that. In 2024 is a good time to get started. Number 3. There is more information for living overseas than any other time that I can remember. Think of just YouTube in general. How many YouTube channels have you seen for people to retire overseas. Philippines, Greece, Italy. I bought a house for $1 in Italy. Not saying that that's a good investment or something you should do, but look at all the information out there, guys. All the information. If you were ever thinking about retiring to a different country, there's everything you always wanted to know to do that. In 2024, more information is available than ever on how to do that. If that's something you want to do in retirement, why not take advantage of it, right? I sure would. Actually in the future, I might still entertain that idea. Let's say 5 years, 10 years down the road. Why not? I'm still young. I'm 61. I have the vigor of a 21-year-old. Why not? There's just so many things to do, so many things to consider in 2024 when you retire. So many options. Why not think about it? Number 4. Now this could be pretty much any year, but you know what? If you've been putting this off because, you're just not sure about it, how's the longevity in your family? Do the people in your family live until their 90s, or do they only live until maybe in their 60s or 70s? There are a lot of families that don't really have a history of longevity. A lot of, people pass away in their early 70s. If that's you, if that's your family, quit putting it off. You may only have so many years left. Take advantage of it now when you can. 2024 is as good a year as any to do that. Why waste the years that you have left based on the probability of your family history if you don't have to? If you've been sitting on the fence for, let's say, 5 years, maybe I should think about doing that. If you have planned well, if you are financially set, and your family has a history of not living too long, you might think about playing the odds. Just pull the plug. Try it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with, let's say, 6 months, a year into retirement. If you don't enjoy it, there's nothing saying you have to stay in retirement. There are plenty of people that go back to work after being retired for 6 months or a year because they don't like it. Now, I don't think that's a great possibility because there are so many things you can do while in retirement, but some people it's just not for them. So if you have a history of in your family of not living that long, why not try out retirement now? You might love it. And you know what? The added bonus, you might live longer. Who knows? You never know down the road, right? Number 5. If you're in a job that you just can't stand, I remember the last, I was in the music industry for 20 years, but I had 3 jobs that I held for a short time each. After that, as each job went on, I was so ready to retire, and the job itself didn't live up to what I was used to in the music industry. Yes, the entertainment industry can spoil you for regular type jobs. It spoiled me. I couldn't wait to get out of these jobs. If you're in a job that you can't stand and it's giving you stress, I'm not talking about just a normal job stress, but like additional stress, like it's like one of the most stressful jobs you've had. Stress is a killer. 2024, make plans to get out of that job. And you know what? Depending on what your job is, you don't have to give, I'm retiring, I'll give you 6 months. You don't have to give 6 months. Give 6 weeks. Even less if you think there's other people there that can take up the slack, You don't have to give us 6 months. I think I gave 2 months. Was it 2 or 3? You don't have to give a long thing. So if stress is killing you, if you're suffering physically, literally physically from the stress of your job, then think about getting out of it. It's another thing from work. It can cause depression. Depression along with stress can cause physical issues. There have been studies that have shown that depression by itself can cause long-term physical problems later in life because of the stress and the depression you've gone through in your working career. Now, yes, all of us have had jobs that you don't like. You could be dreading going to work the next day, But if that is a constant thing for you and not something that comes and goes, you might think about trying to retire in 2024, because that's the last thing in the world you want, right? Okay, I've suffered. I worked for like, let's say 10, 20 years at this one company, and you get out and you have like 5 to 8 years left because of the stress and the depression, the health effects that affected you later in life. That'd be a terrible place to be, wouldn't it? So why don't you make 2024 the time to retire? Take some of those 5 points I just put out there. Think on it. You're not getting any younger, guys. And hey, for you, those of you who are retiring early, think about the same thing. Why not take 2024? Looks like as good a year as I've seen in a while. So there you go, guys. Just remember, as long as we plan, think about some of the things that I've talked about here and in other videos. Even if you don't like them, if you don't like some of them, toss the ideas out, toss the videos out. But there are some good points in there, I think. Look at those, look at other things on YouTube, and as long as we take all this in as a whole, we got this.